happening, guys? Welcome back. Look, a very special edition of Get the Let Out Fridays. It's Get the Let Out Saturdays. Pretty much Christmas fell on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I took those 2 days off, so all my videos this week are just pushed back a day. So, we're gonna have to rock it on Saturdays. But you know what? It's all cool, because is it ever a bad time to get the let out? I didn't think so. Now today, obviously from the intro, we're talking about Achilles Last Stand, and I wanted to do another one of these overlooked Zeppelin masterpieces. You guys, for one, asked if I would turn this into a series, and basically on the last one, I focused on 10 Years Gone, and there were just pages and pages of comments from people saying like, oh, I wish you would have done Achilles Last Stand, or I think Achilles Last Stand should be on here. Comments like that, and I was like, you know what? I'll do a second one, see if you guys want me to keep going with this little overlooked idea. Now, one thing about the President's album is that Page was using a Strat a lot. So, For Your Life, I believe, is all Strat. There's a couple other ones. T for One was maybe Strat or Tele, I'm not real sure. But what I thought would be kind of interesting to do is here in the video, I'm going to play the main riff to Achilles Last Stand on both the Strat, the Tele, and the Les Paul, and you guys can tell me which one you think it is. So let's go ahead and get going. Now, something I thought was really cool that I was reading up on this one, and like I said, anyone who has more information about this song or interesting facts that I don't mention, please leave them in the comments. Like I said, these aren't meant to be like a know-it-all video. It's just about, I'm such a huge Jimmy Page fan. I like learning about this stuff. So one of it is that this song, after I read it, it kind of made sense. One thing that's really cool about Jimmy Page and Robert Plant is that they would travel around a lot, listen to a lot of their music. They incorporated a lot of country elements, world elements, all these different, kinds of elements into their style. And this one was supposed to, have been heavily influenced by flamenco style, that Page was listening to. And while it's not the traditional flamenco, like if you listen to it, I'm like, oh, I kind of could hear it now, and the tempo and all these different things. And I thought that was really cool because they would, like I said, they would travel around and let me listen to like Four Sticks and all these different songs. And I think that they were just, true musicians. They just loved to listen to other types of music, and you can certainly hear how it would influence them. So I thought that was the first little interesting and tidbit, that it had some flamenco background in it. Oh. So what a lot of people might not be aware of about the President's album is the fact that Robert Plant had broken his ankle for this one. Him and his wife got in a car accident in Greece, and he could not walk. So instead of touring, Page and Plant just kind of locked themselves in a studio in Germany, and they recorded it. And there's an interview, if I can find it again, I'll link to it. But Robert Plant was talking about how he hated singing just, in a wheelchair, because he said he liked to move around in the studio and kind of strut around while he was performing. It really gave it a performance, and he had to just sit there. So he said when they went back to the studio, he was on essentially crutches, and he was tracking and all that stuff, and ended up falling, re-injuring his leg again, and then of course had to go back to the hospital, all these different things. So it's kind of interesting. The song Achilles Last Stand, if you don't know the whole mythology behind Achilles, well, it was about his ankle. Robert Plant broke his ankle in Greece, and then ended up hurting his ankle again, recording. And I can't help but wonder about the simple fact that Presence is such a different album from a lot of the other Zeppelin stuff. If the fact that they literally just couldn't get out on the road probably took that out of their mind completely, like, well, might as well just work on the album, we can't get back out on the road. And it's just such a different album. Like, Presence is, I said it before, it is probably my favorite Zeppelin album. And I think maybe just, the fact that they couldn't do anything other than record made them just hone in on a lot of that stuff. Now for this next section, we're going to talk about, Achilles Last Stand has essentially 6 overdub guitar tracks on it, which I think nowadays we listen to it and we're like, big deal, like I could have 30 guitar tracks within seconds in Logic. Well, obviously back whenever Led Zeppelin was recording, that was not that simple. It was not that easy of a feat, as we're very spoiled with the way that we can record now. So it actually is a big feat that Page had 6 tracks, 14 tracks on 10 Years Gone, like all these different things. It's more of a big deal than what we initially give it credit for. And I want you guys to tell me, which guitar do you think suited it best? I couldn't find an exact information, just a bunch of forum discussions about it. But I'm going to play you the main riff to Achilles Last Stand on the Tele, on the Les Paul, and on the Strat, all on their middle position. And we're going to see which one you guys think fits the bill the best. Which one do you think it was? Now, all of the guitars for Achilles Last Stand were all recorded in one evening. The entire album was recorded in 3 weeks, which, you know, it might sound like a lot of time, but really it isn't. You think of like songs that took years, albums that have taken years to complete and all this, and then, you know, here's, to me, just again, my favorite Led Zeppelin album, I keep saying it, but, and it was recorded in 3 weeks, and all of the guitars were tracked in one night for Achilles Last Stand, not the whole album, but on Achilles Last Stand, they were all tracked, and there's an interview with Jimmy Page, and he's talking about how, you know, the guys are just kind of like, what is this? You know, it's just like madness, and then once it was all done, it all made sense, like this journey that the song takes you on, and there's so many cool parts to the song. I mean, listen, the intro, it's so... Oh, as I play it wrong. And it sounds like there's 2 guitars on that as well, because they don't perfectly match up, or maybe that's the delays and stuff that he's using, but that's why I kind of had that intro with a bunch of different effects running on it. And then, you know, obviously that main riff is so powerful, but a lot of it is John Paul Jones in the background, holding down that, you know, that's going on, and Page is just doing the chords. Which is a hard riff to play. I'm sorry. That. If you know the song Kiss of Death by Dokken, I always thought that it was almost like an exact kind of like, not I don't say rip-off, but an exact reference to Achilles Last Stand. So that's Achilles Last Stand that I just played. Obviously, you know that. But if you don't know Kiss of Death by Dokken, it goes like this. You know, very similar in the... That's how I'm getting the 2 confused. Very similar. And I thought that was kind of a cool little reference. I don't know if Lynch was meaning to reference them, but it sounded very similar to me. And just all of the stuff, like, especially when it goes to this part, I love the build-up section of... And there's like a million guitar layers happening. There's 2 different guitar parts. I saw live, Page seemed to play the higher parts more, and I think maybe John Paul Jones is doing those lower parts on the bass, but just what a crazy masterpiece. All this stuff, you know, he recorded it in one evening. So I think it's one of those situations where inspiration just hits and just takes over. And we're going to round it out here, so you guys can let me know if there's anything that I missed. But this is one of Led Zeppelin's longest songs, and I bet some of you didn't even realize the song's over 10 minutes long. I know that I don't even think I knew that until I was reading that online. I'm like, is this song that long? Like, it's just such a good song, you don't notice. Like, I find myself starting the song over, and I'm just like, wow, that song is 10 minutes long. I'm like, I never even realized that it was such a long song, and I love that was one of the things about Led Zeppelin is like they didn't do a lot of those like radio edits or anything like that. They're like, this is just how long the song is. And of course, the solo to this song is it's up there with one of my favorite Page solos. It might be my favorite Jimmy Page solo of all time. And I thought about doing a separate video about it, so you guys let me know if you want to see that. A video all about the solo. I've never actually learned it, to be honest. I know bits and pieces of it, but I would spend the time to actually learn it and maybe do a lesson on it. So let me know about that. But other than that, guys, let me know what other one you'd like to see. What other songs do you think are overlooked in the Zeppelin category that kind of get overshadowed by Stairway and, you know, A Whole Lot of Love? I'm going to do a video about A Whole Lot of Love because there's some interesting stuff about that one that I want to talk about. But other than that, I'm going to bounce it out of here. Let me know which one you thought was best. Tele, Les Paul, Strat. Which one had that Achilles sound? And I guess that's it. Led Zeppelin Saturdays, yo. We'll be back to Friday next week. Bye, guys. Whoop!